Hey everybody, welcome back to another drawing tutorial. Monsterverse character today, Rodan. So I'm on landscape paper. Use a pencil and eraser and hit pause if I go too fast. So this drawing of Rodan, I'm doing it from the movie poster of Rodan. So from Godzilla, King of Monsters. So it's mostly like his face and maybe like some of his wing coming back this way, right? So we start over here on the right hand side, just with what we can see of his head, right? And that beak, right? So I think the easiest place to start is probably the beak, right? Or like his head frown sort of area. So we'll start with the beak. So we'll go near here. So center point of my page is about here. So we're coming right over to the right hand side, right? So the beak is the furthest point. So we'll curve it down. So this sort of hook, right, like an eagle, and it's all sort of jaggedy on the inside, right? So it's like, you know, this sort of teeth sort of lines, and then they actually do become teeth when we go into here, right? And these big long teeth all come back. We got some more teeth going this way. And eventually this will go to back of his mouth, which is up here somewhere. Right, so we got this big long jaggedy line. So this comes to a spike at the back of his head, back here. Back there, right, so beak, and then the front, right, so the front part of this. So our beak will come down. We'll just get the main shape in first, and then we'll do his eye. So it comes down like so. Big frown sort of section. And this keeps going this way. And I think, yeah, there's like a horn or something here, or some spikes. Like coming down his frowning skull sort of area. And a few more of these that go up his head, right? So, like so. And then, so he's got another horn back here. So this comes back. Into there. This goes into his head, right. So in under here we have his eye, right? So we got like small sort of, so his like iris is like a small circle just with the top cut off, just there. And his pupil, black circle just there. And then we've got like all sorts of details like skin and stuff around the eye. Lots of these little texture lines and stuff, you know, and eventually it'll go back up towards this way. Lots of sort of wrinkles and skin, and because he is kind of like a reptile but a bird at the same time, right? So you can add as much of this texture as you want. You don't have to sort of do as much as me, but and there's some like coming up from his mouth, and these teeth kind of grow into his face. They're kind of all attached to his face, sort of thing. And so like sort of just like texture lines and wrinkles and stuff. And some on the horn as well. Right, so then the middle of his head sort of comes back into here. So we got like these sort of bumps It's like the top of his skull, down around into there. And then we have what looks like a horn sort of sticking up here. I think it's this side of his head on this side. So we have a little horn that sticks up here. And that's it sticking up over this side. And then his eyebrow or brow on the other side of his head, just here. And then the horn on the other side of his head comes back, bumping sort of line here, down, back into there. So it's all like bumpy, wrinkly sort of lines, right? Like so. Okay. So then, so his bottom jaw. Okay, so we've got like various spikes sort of here for on the bottom jaw, right? So bones sort of sticking out of his face, and then the bottom jaw will come down, bumpy line down that way, right? So real big line there. Then the inside of that jaw, right? So kind of end of his mouth, jaw open. Say we have like those skin lines that are on the inside of dinosaurs' mouths, and then the jaw will go back up this way, right? And then there's all like skin lines and stuff inside here, like sinewy sort of lines. And if you want, you can thicken up the lines where there would be a shadow. So, you know, if like under here, maybe you could add just a bit of a thicker line. Right, so then this eventually will become his bottom jaw, and his bottom jaw has, again, lots of little spiky teeth, like loads of them. Some bigger than others, but mostly they're pretty small. Like a little razor, sort of. That's what it looks like to me. And eventually it'll go back up the other way. Right. And this area sort of has texture and stuff on it as well. You know, lines coming down from here. You know, some jaw lines. So, and then his tongue, right? So his tongue sticking out from the back of his mouth all the way back in here. So it like comes down, goes all the way into the back of his mouth, and then the middle line, real pointy. His tongue could have scales and stuff on it as well. I think it does, but we'll just add some texture sort of like this. And some lines for the inside of his mouth here. And we'll just put a black shadow back here, just for the back of his throat, just colored in dark, just to show that there's a bit of a shadow, maybe a shadow down here too. And then the side of his mouth here. And I think there should be like some teeth actually. We should just see some sticking out the other side here. Like that. And some lines down that way. Okay, so neck and body, right? So he's an incredibly scaly sort of creature, right? So we'll start from the back of his neck up here. So we'll start with the first scale, sort of coming down. We will draw them in. We might as well, because just so we can see everything. So one scale there, and then it comes down his neck here. Back into there, and then we've another one that kind of goes up here, down into here, and this one goes up around his chin there. So scaly sort of guy. Texture on these as well. And next one, so we go down again to his neck, around, and these can be like pointy and stuff in various ways. Another one there, and then so like the center of his chest. So we've got like, so this should be like the center. So we'll go down there, and then this is like bumpy, right? We'll just add these, right? And scales all sticking out. Like there. So then, so it's like all scales going around his neck. Bumpy coming down. And then these kind of go around his, so this is his neck part, so then we bring more scales up around here, and there's some that travel back this way as well, so I guess I'll draw those. So scales coming back here. Like one bone sort of sticking out here, so lots of these sort of texture and bone lines and things. And this one starts to travel back up this way. And this is like armor that's on the back of his neck, so he's all armored up, this guy. Right there, so it's like an armor plate, and then another one above it comes down like into there. This has all texture and stuff on it as well. And we just keep sort of layering the armor. And it's kind of random. It doesn't really seem to have too much of a pattern. It's just sort of Right, so like that. Right, we just keep doing this then, and then we get sort of spiky down here. There we go. And sort of jaggedy and spiky and stuff. And this eventually would become his like shoulder going off up this way. Let me just add some more. Spike lines and stuff for his chest. And then there's some more sort of armor and bones and things sticking off here. So these are all like random sort of bumps and stuff all down here. It's a mess down here. There's loads of stuff. It's crazy. So this one like goes off towards the edge of his wing or something. Off that way. This one will go up this way. And this one up that way. And we'll just keep adding texture as we go as well. So just following each shape, kind of making texture lines as we go. Trying to make them look a bit bumpy and stuff. So eventually this will become his wing over here. This is like his rib cage, I guess. And it eventually joins his wing, which starts to go off up that way, right? But we'll add more texture in here. So it's a bit complicated now, this. More complicated than I thought. So, scales all coming down. Now, remember, I know it looks real complicated, but I kind of just made that up. Like, I looked at the image a little bit and sort of just made sure that it was all spiky and sort of the lines flowing up towards his shoulder. That's the, you want to get this sort of curve going up towards his armpit there, right? Well, I hope that makes sense. So, and then you just kind of curve it that way and then add some texture. Right, so, and like for the main armor parts, if you thicken up the line underneath, so what I mean is like, say this line compared to the texture line. So if you made this line a little bit thicker, it just makes it look like there's a shadow underneath. And it differentiates it from the other lines in the image. So it's an extra line weight. That's what it's called, right? And when you have lines of different weight in the one image, it just makes it kind of more interesting, and the eye sort of thinks that under here there's like a shadow, and you know, so like thicker lines and thinner lines, especially if you're doing an ink, if you're inking this, you know, you should be drawing with pencil right now, but if you're going to ink it after, you know, darker, heavier lines like that can always help. See, so it kind of just makes it look like those parts are more shadowy. And then you have your little texture lines and stuff that are just not shadowy at all, you know. Right, but that might be a bit advanced, I don't know. Anyway. So shoulder on that side is going up off this way. Shoulder on this side, we can only see a little bit of it like here, right? And it's got like a lot of texture and bumps and things as well, right? So we got like some spikes sticking out, climbing back into his body there. So this is like his armpit again on that side. It kind of goes back into here. Right, so all bumpy and gnarly and right. So shoulder curves goes up from here, right? And it has scales all over the shoulder as well. So we'll draw the main line. So we'll just go up and off the page this way. And like the armpit lines and stuff go all in here. And like that bone sort of part for the arm will go up that way, and his hand is like off up there somewhere. Okay? So most people would leave it like this, you know. But because I'm an annoying stickler for detail, I like to add texture. So, right, so that's his wing, right? And that's his arm. And the wing on the other side, right? Same sort of thing, except it's in behind his head, right? So it goes like this way, off up that way. And this is all bones and scales and stuff on it. So this is like the bony, scaly side, just there. And you know, the back side of the wing is like here, and we've all like lines going all up that way. Okay. So if you wanted, you could leave it there, but I think to make it, you know, we got to add more texture to the wing, like his body, right? Just to make sure it all is in keeping with the spirit of the drawing, as they say. So like this wing has like lots of sort of texture and stuff on it as well. So scales and wrinkles and stuff all here. So the wing sort of joins his body, and this is like, how to explain. So we'll draw these, we'll thicken up these lines first. Because these are like the center lines. Put another one here. So that's like the skin of his wing. And then there is all lines that come down it, right? These bumping sort of lines that come down here. And join sort of his body. This sort of flowing sort of S shape, right? And you could have like, so you can do as much of this now as you want. And some of these near the ends will glow red. So there could be like texture going this way. So this is all sort of big wing. And it just sort of keeps going up his wing like that. Stays all gnarly and sort of bumpy. And this is this part of his wing. This is like the arm part. Right, so again, you can add more texture and Like that. Right, so then we have all scales coming up and down his arm. So let's see, so like here. And there's like some on his shoulder, like here. So loads of those sorts of scaly lines. And again, thickening up some lines can help. And then some scales on his other shoulder over here. So they're going like in the opposite direction. So going up this way. And then like loads of sort of wavy lines that go up his sort of wing here. The back of his wing. So just thickening up some lines that I want to stand out. And then lots of sort of red. These are like eventually be colored in red, I think. Some of them anyway. Okay, so that is basically how to draw Rodan. So that's a texture. That's the thing that makes it Rodan from King of Monsters. Anyway, Rodan has lots of texture on him, real scaly sort of guy. But I think I'll leave it there. I hope it was helpful, as usual. And thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.